Okay. Do you hear me? No, I guess. Can you hear? Oh. Get with big microphone. Unmuted. Okay. Ich kann diesen verwenden. Ah, es geht. It works. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the presentation. Thank for everyone for coming so early in the last day in the morning after the official party. I will talk today about the topic how to successfully maintain a Drupal enterprise project featuring kurier.at. It is a relatively bigger project. If you live in Austria, you probably know the website kurier.at. For everybody else, it is one of the most popular daily newspapers and websites in Austria. And surprise, it's powered by Drupal. And in this session, I will show you some behind the scenes look on project architecture. And in addition, I will share with you some challenges that our team overcomes during the development, maintenance, and building new features in this application. My name is Oleksandr Milkovskyi. I'm working at K Digital here in Vienna, and I'm proud to be a board member of Drupal Austria. I'm working with Drupal since 2010 and version 5. And after that, I became an active contributor in the community. And you can find me on drupal.org as a.milkovskyi. So Kurier Online Media is a publisher house. And in addition to like a bigger stake like Kurier, there are other known Austrian brands and portals like FutureZone, Profil, Freizeit, Events.at, and so on. And altogether, they bring around 3 million unique users per month and also 20 million visits per month. And all these portals are actually websites or mobile applications, and they're all front-end API clients of Drupal. And all of them communicate with one single instance of Drupal, which handles all of this load. And in our company, we called this project Hermes. Drupal or Hermes plays multiple roles in the architecture. First of all, it is a CMS where editors from different editorial offices writing their articles. Also, Hermes provides a backend API. It is a decoupled architecture, backend API for all the front-end clients. And it is a content hub for one of the company's valuable assets, the articles. Let me show you a quick overview how the application works. It's no rocket science, actually. And behind the scenes, there is a Drupal instance based on Thunder distribution. We have some things for storage, like MariaDB for database. We use Elasticsearch for indexing, and also for complex queries and reading for many information, because Elasticsearch is very fast and responsible with reading data. We are using Redis for Drupal cache. It's faster than database because it's stored in RAM. And for file storage, we use actually AWS, it's S3 bucket. We use it for flexibility for various server operations because files are always there in one place. And also it provides very nice backup system and recovery for different disaster recovery scenarios. Hopefully we didn't have one, but we are secure. We are shielded by a layer of Cloudflare, so it's a CDN. And Our front ends, no matter what it is, it may be a web application. We have websites that are built in Node.js and Angular. We have clients which are built in Symfony, and also we have mobile application and also other third parties that push and pull from Hermes. But no matter what, they use the same API for the same REST API endpoints. For us, it's important that we are shielded by CDN and we are properly clearing our cache by tags. And after that, front end is also shielded by CDN, and all the end users are coming first to front end. If there is no cache, then it asks Cloudflare layer of Hermes. If there is no cache there, then it goes to Hermes, and then we have Redis and other things. We deploy Hermes using continuous integration. For this, we tried multiple tools. First, we used Jenkins, but now we switched to Circle CI. It's just easier to maintain. You just have one configuration file, and every deployment step is just one simple script. So everything starts on Git push. We do our code checks. We run unit tests. Then we trigger a deployment pipeline. At the moment, we are hosting on platform SH, and dynamic environment speeds up. And then we also love to run behead tests on top of that. I will maybe tell a few words about them later. But they are basically like functional and integrational tests for the whole application. And after that, we have an environment. We use the same principle for stage production, for feature environments, and we tried to develop every feature in separate environment. We set it up, we connect it to one of front ends, we test features, and then if we are happy, we are merging it into develop, and then it goes to stage and to production. This is how our Circle CI deployment look like. It's just one example. We tried different setups, in which sequence do we run things. Currently, we are happy with this one. We run all the checks like PHP stan, code standards, and many things. Then we activate and validate the environment. And after that, we start our behead test. You may see that we have 43 minutes of behead tests. We have a lot of them. That's just make sure that we don't introduce any regression in this feature. And also, like, we publish into Jira that you have a new development environment. You can log in with this credential, and then ticket goes to review. We are monitoring our application constantly. We are using New Relic a lot. It's a great tool with a lot of functionality. When you first install it, you may be completely lost of what it's doing, but most importantly, we can monitor infrastructure like CPU, RAM, and it has profiling of requests, something like XHProf is doing. We can find slow requests, slow functions. We can see why Redis is hanging, and so we are using it during every deployment. So I open the New Relic monitoring, I start deployment, and I'm watching what happens to the application. That helps to react to any emergencies, and we also use it to investigate some like potential issues of the application. Sometimes we have complaints from editors that some form is slow. We open New Relic and see what happens there. Also, we have various logs. In addition to like Drupal watchdog and server logs, we're using Sentry.io for handling the exceptions. It's a great tool. It shows you the call stack. You can also assign people inside there, and you have a good overview of what happened on what page. And we have like uptime checks. It's just a simple tool that pings our backend and front ends and just make sure that they are up and running. And last but not least, we are backing up everything constantly. So we are backing up database, Elasticsearch, and we are backing up our files. Hopefully, luckily we didn't have emergency to restore it, but anyway, it's good to know that you have something behind. This is how it looks all together from a Drupal developer perspective. We have all of this, and then we have the internet, our front ends, which is a separate team. We are currently happy with this setup. It fulfills projects' loads, size, and needs. We are also flexible on the front-end side because every front-end represents one portal, like Kurier, FutureZone, and others. They all want to be unique and individual in a branding. That's why it's very useful to have single application for each of them. And we were also thinking about an idea separating Drupal in multiple instances, that every portal has one Drupal instance. That was kind of an idea, but this is why we like how it works right now. With a single Drupal application, it helps to standardize the editorial workflow and user experience, that every editor in every editorial office knows how the Hermes works. It knows the form, it knows all the features. It also often happens that one editor writes articles in multiple web portals. And for him, it's nice that he stays in the same system. He can go here and there, even copy things, and the user experience will still stay the same. Also, it's a bit easier to maintain such an application because everything, if you do a security update, you update everything. If you build a new feature, every portal will have this new, I don't know, SEO text field or this bug fix. Otherwise, we would have to do bug fixes everywhere and also try to keep the same feature balance in every portal, which is actually a harder challenge. And it's also nice to have like an idea of a data hub. We have everything in one place. It's interesting from a management perspective and also from a developer perspective. As for example, we could have one view where we show 5 articles from various platforms, and because it's everything in the same database, it's very easy to do. Of course, this system has a disadvantage because we cannot do specific. We cannot like afford to focus on one of the platform deeper and build platform-specific features. For example, if Kurier requests something special, we have to think about some solutions. So our solution right now, we use user roles, and we assign different user roles to our editors. For example, one user has a role access to kurier.at, and he can use paragraphs, blocks that are only Kurier specific. And we try to hide everything that users don't need, all the features and all the content which doesn't belong to editorial office. This is the current solution. It works stable, and currently we are happy how it works. So yeah, we are behind the scenes 9 people. Not everybody, of course, is a Drupal developer. We are kind of doing Scrum in our own way. We don't follow it for 100%. For example, we have 2-week sprints, but we try to deploy features every week. We're kind of trying to grow, but it's not that easy, especially with Drupal developers, you know. Our customers are editors, so this is an internal project, and we collect requirements from them. We have a representative project manager who has backlog refinements weekly with editor office, and he creates Jira tickets, and then we distribute them in our internal refinements. Yeah, and we try to bundle our task into some projects. For example, it can be some relaunch of a portal that requires like 5 new paragraphs types, and we are doing that like in a single Jira epic. And also major system refactoring or legacy code refactoring can be assigned like another project. So now when we kind of know how the application works, here are some facts in numbers that will help to represent the scope and the size of the project. It was launched in 2017. It was a big relaunch from old system to Drupal. You can also see a presentation from a DrupalCon on this year about this relaunch. You can understand that it's a relatively old project because 6 years is almost like eternity in internet. And at the current state in 2023, we have already 12 front-end portals that are connected to Drupal. Those portals bring together 45 million page impressions monthly. Database contains already more than 1 million nodes. Most of them are articles. We have 2.5 terabytes of just images. And we have to deal with them. One of the interesting solutions that we did, we have a garbage collector which removed image styles that are older than a couple of months. This saves us a lot of space. We have already 77 custom modules, more than 800 database tables, and my favorite table is paragraphs revision field text. It contains 12 gigabytes of text. Yeah, you can see that it's a relatively big and old project. If you think like about 2017, it was a year when only Donald Trump was elected in US, and And from the good news, there was DrupalCon in Vienna in that year, you know. And many things has changed since 2017 in the world, as well in Hermes. The project has already survived a couple of CTO developer teams changes, but no matter what, the project should still remain fast and stable. And this is actually what I saw when I came into the company. And here are actually some challenges that me and my team have during the work on this project. And from this part, I will try to give you some tips and descriptions of our solution. We have to maintain the stability and performance of the project. That's for sure, because all the business of the company relies mostly on this website. We have to think about long-term and scalable solutions because it is a long-term project. We have a lot of legacy codes. Unfortunately, even code that we write will at some day become a legacy code. This is just a nature of a development. And even though we have many parts in the project that are constantly updated, we still need to transfer this knowledge to future developers that they can continue what we are doing right now. Let's talk about all of them briefly. So yeah, the one about maintenance and performance. It basically means how to not mess up on the next deployment. We are relying heavily on our main shield is caching. So we're using CDN Cloudflare. And if you're using any CDN provider, you can check if it has supports of these features, stale variable date and stale if error. They are really crucial features. Yeah, we use Redis, and we developed our own tag-based cache invalidation system. Also, we tuned our server with different setups. Currently, we have some redundancy on the server and the load balancer. Also, we have a couple instances of databases, but it's very individual to every project. This is something you can play around and figure out on your own. Also, as I mentioned before, we have different monitoring tools. We use them during deployments, during our investigations, and yeah, this helps us to maintain the same performance in like numbers. And yeah, also an interesting practice, we are doing periodically security audits from external companies. I recommend to try it. You will be really surprised what they can discover. Not even in Drupal, but overall in the server setup and project architecture. The next thing is, disaster recovery scenarios. This is a very crucial thing. We haven't documented everything for disaster recovery. We're working on this, but still we have some pages where we think about what happens if database is down. How do you import backup? Where is it stored? How do they load the latest one, and so on. So that's why we have backups, and they are always ready to be imported. We have also, it's nice to have automated scripts, just like one line. How can I download this backup from AWS on this server? If something happens right now and I need to do it, I need to like think how to connect. Maybe I can even forget how SCP works and so on. That's why we have just one line. This is how you download database dump. And in this case, handy things is documentations of these steps, because in case of any emergency, developer may get a panic and doesn't even think about simple steps. But knowing that there is just a page in Confluence where you have like 5 sentences, this is how you import a database, or this is how you restore a file storage system on the specific date, it helps a lot. And this even makes your deployments easier. Yeah, I will come to this point later. Yeah, also we are having tests. We are running unit tests and behead tests. Behead tests in our applications are kind of functional and integrational tests where we make sure that all the stack works together. Database, Elasticsearch, our API, the caching, all together. So we are basically in this test creating some test content, manipulate it, and make sure the API renders the expected results. And for test content, we came up with an interesting idea. We use migration to create test content. I saw this in one blog post article. It's a nice approach. You can write source data right in the migration file. And we have one migration file per content type. And before migration, before starting test, we are just reverting and migrating data again. And then we start all the tests. Yeah, and also to maintain the project, we need to make sure that we are developing things right. And when we think about new changes, we always try to minimize risks. We do not want to introduce many changes at once. We have enough time for features. There is no time pressure usually. So even if we think about multiple changes in one task, we try to distribute them, make follow-ups, and even release it on separate weeks. Yeah, and in case of any manual deployment step that we need to do after the feature release, we also write them down. We tag a task in Jira with needs attention, and after the deployment, even if the developer who developed this feature not available, like on vacation or a sick leave, another person can just go and execute the easy steps. It may be create a taxonomy term or clear some specific cache tag in Cloudflare. Yeah, and during development of long-living projects, it's important to design long-term architectural decisions. Yeah, in our mindset, it is not the project that we will do in 1 year, and after that we will just do some maintenance and security updates. It's not the case here. In 1 year, we will have a new feature. The roadmaps is always full of tasks. That's why we need to write the code today that will not hinder us from developing new feature in 1 year. That's why we could make long-term decisions like use entity bundle classes in the application and so on. We constantly talk about new ideas. We're open to discussions, and when we have these conversations, we write down our ideas. It can even be a Jira backlog task. Also, we share meeting notes in Confluence. So, yeah, we like to document things. And after this, yeah, we come back to these features and we discuss them. Yeah, this topic, the legacy code, it's actually related to the topic of long-term decisions. By making right decisions, we prevent our code from being legacy code in future. This is why we are doing pull request reuse very carefully. We are trying to spread the virus of legacy codes, and we avoid to write a new legacy code. There was a great session about peer code review on Wednesday. If you maintain a long-living project, I would recommend to check it out. I will use a few quotes from this session on this slide. If you write a long-living application, unfortunately, legacy code is unavoidable. So you will have to deal with it somehow. And as we have enough time, we do not have to keep legacy code forever, but we try not to rush with it. And if we found some legacy code, we try to investigate the history of it. Where does it come from? Is it really necessary? What can be an alternative? But still, we write good code now, and we fix legacy code later. We create follow-up tickets for legacy codes in refactoring, and we also use the deprecated tag on our own functions, which is a very handy thing. And as the project grows, it's important to keep the knowledge about the project and pass it to the next generation of developers that will come here. And our solution is very easy to say, but hard to master. And it's a documentation. I know it's pain for everybody. And I don't say that our documentation is up to date, but time after time, me personally, come into our documentation page. I look around, try to archive what we don't need. Periodically, we create tasks to maintain the documentation and update a few features. And we have a documentation page which contains project functionality, architecture. Our concepts are also in this documentation, and even team workflows, onboardings, all these things. And usually it's a part of a task also create documentation. It can be update existing page, update some API documentation of Hermes and so on. Yeah, and it makes life easier for developers when we do such things. To the documentation topic, it's also related to how we do Git commits, for example. We have a Jira ticket for every task, and in Git commit, we just write the task ID. It helps in future a lot with investigation of legacy code, for example. Every task should have a separate pull request. We also communicate in our pull requests. And many modules have README files. I wish we had more, but yeah, bigger modules have own README files where you can look around how to, for example, migration was done for events AT and which commands were used. And we also document our API. It's very useful to have to utilize some official standard. We're using OpenAPI 3.0. And maybe later I can show you how it looks like if we have time. Yeah, so basically I can summarize the topic. For long-living projects, the solutions that we came up with is finding right architecture, tuning the servers to the needs of the world. I mean, to page impressions and so on. We need to think about caching in advance because it's our main shield. We automate our testing to find regressions in time. We monitor performance and during deployments in other time to also be able to react to any emergencies. We document our disaster recovery routines. When we write our code or when we refactor legacy code, we are thinking about long-term solutions and try not to change all the things at once. Yeah, we write good known and fix bad code later. Yeah, we try to create follow-ups for refactorings to minimize and have small deployments instead of big deployments. And after all of that, we just document what we have done. I think we could go with some questions first, and if there will be time, I could show some demo. So thank you for attention. Mr. in the first row.
Thanks. As I understood, deployment takes 1 hour approximately, and during this time, the CDN takes over. And my questions are cache misses significant during this time? And second, what happens to editors during deployment?
That's a good one. Luckily, the deployment doesn't take 1 hour. It's much faster, but because of Drupal and server architecture, we do expect short downtime in 1 or 2 minutes, and because Drupal starts to import configs, server needs to create a new file system, and it's like replaces the old server. It's many things can happen during deployment. That's why we announce our deployments in advance to editors. They know that like every Tuesday at 2 o'clock there is a deployment, and they just make a short break. So we have a content freeze for 2 minutes. But in case if there is some press conference or any important event that should be announced right away, like in live ticker, we just move deployment to another day or time. This is like a balance between editors and technical office. We just communicate. And the caching thing, the frontends, they stay cached during the deployment. So during the deployment, CMS is not available for a couple of minutes, but we have uptime checks and all the frontends are always online. So we have used this stale if error status in CDN. And even if API doesn't return any error, any content, it returns an error, CDN will show the old page which was 200.
If someone wants to search on the site during downtime, that's a cache miss on the front end and on the...
Yeah, with the search is hard. We are actually thinking about improving our search. It's even now not in the top menu bar because we are not happy with how we tune the result responses. But yeah, if you will look for a word which was not searched for us like a couple of days, that you will get a miss. That for sure, that's true. But it will happen only like in 2 minutes. That's a risk that we take because we just need to deploy. Yeah. If somebody has a solution for this topic, I would be happy to listen after the presentation. Yeah.
Anyone else? Sorry.
I would be interested how you handle the previews for the editors in the decoupled setup.
Yeah, for previews we have a separate endpoint which just uses kind of Drupal preview system. We built a page for that with a fake content, and there is a secret link which is generated, and so no one can guess it. And right in Hermes, I can maybe even show it. How could I move? Wrong way. Okay,